My parents let me go without vital medication. Not because they couldn't afford it, but because they chose to buy my sister an $800 camera instead. That Sunday dinner exploded everything. The roast chicken sat untouched on my plate, a silent accusation. My younger sister, Lily, was completely absorbed, scrolling through her brand new camera settings. Sunday dinners at Sarah and David's house had become a routine I endured more than enjoyed, but the tension in the air this particular afternoon felt different, like a storm brewing under a deceptively calm sky. "Did you pick up my prescription?" The question came out lighter than I felt. "The doctor said it's urgent." David barely looked up from his plate. "We spent that money on Lily's new camera. It's for her future." My fork clattered against the porcelain. 26 years old, and I still expected different answers to the same fundamental question about where I ranked in this family's priorities. The camera in question was a professional-grade model, nearly $800, sitting next to a 17-year-old who had abandoned 3 previous future careers in as many months. Right. My voice stayed level, a skill honed through years of practice. "Then I guess you didn't read the warning label the pharmacist sent." Sarah's hand froze halfway to her wineglass. "Warning?" The air in the dining room shifted, the easy hum of conversation gone. Lily finally glanced up from her toy, sensing something had changed. David's confident expression faltered just slightly, enough for me to notice the first crack in his armor. I pulled up my phone with deliberate slowness, opening a message I'd received from the pharmacy 3 days earlier. The pharmacist sent a follow-up email to both me and the emergency contacts on file. "That would be you too." Subject line was urgent, time-sensitive medication notice. "We must have missed it," Sarah said quickly. "Too quickly." "You missed it." I let those words hang there, along with the 3 text messages and 2 phone calls they'd made to your numbers specifically because I listed you as my emergency contacts. They tried for 48 hours before the email. David's face had gone pale, but he rallied. "We've been busy. Lily had that photography exhibition at school." "The medication," I interrupted, my voice dropping lower, "was prescribed after my biopsy results came back. The doctor found irregular cells, precancerous markers that need immediate treatment before they develop into something worse." Sarah's wineglass hit the table hard enough that red liquid sloshed over the rim. "Biopsy? What biopsy?" "The one I told you about 3 weeks ago. The one you said you'd help me pay for because my insurance only covered 70%. The one David said wasn't necessary because I'm young and healthy and probably just worrying over nothing." Lily had gone completely still, her camera forgotten. The dining room felt smaller suddenly, the walls closing in on secrets I'd kept locked down for the sake of family peace. "You never mentioned cancer," David said, but his voice had lost its certainty. "Precancerous cells. There's a difference, and it stays that way if I get the medication now. In 3 weeks, when those cells have had time to develop, we're looking at a very different conversation about treatment options and survival rates." The silence stretched out like taffy, thin and uncomfortable. I watched my parents' faces cycle through denial, confusion, and the dawning realization that they'd made a choice without understanding the stakes. "Why didn't you tell us it was this serious?" Sarah's question came out barely above a whisper. "I did." My phone was already out, scrolling through messages. September 14th, I sent a text explaining the biopsy results. September 16th, I called and spoke to David directly about the medication costs. September 23rd, I emailed both of you the doctor's treatment plan with the word urgent in the subject line. I turned the phone around, showing them the message thread. Blue sent messages on my side. All delivered, all read. No responses on theirs. "We thought you were exaggerating," David said. "You've always been dramatic about medical things." The accusation landed like it was meant to, but I'd had 3 days to prepare for this moment. 3 days since the pharmacist's final call informing me that, without immediate payment, they couldn't hold the prescription any longer. 3 days of deciding whether to protect my parents' feelings or finally force them to see what their favoritism had caused. Dramatic? I tested the word. Like when I was 14 and broke my wrist, but you said I was faking to get out of babysitting Lily? Turns out that was a genuine fracture that healed badly because I waited 5 days before someone finally took me to urgent care. That was different. Sarah protested. Or when I had pneumonia at 19, home from college, and you told me I just had a bad cold. I ended up in the emergency room with a fever of 104. The doctor said another day and I'd have been admitted to intensive care. Lily had pushed back from the table, her face stricken. She'd been too young to remember most of these incidents, protected by her position as the baby, the favorite, the child who could do no wrong. We're not perfect, David started. But we've always provided. You've provided for one daughter exceptionally well. The words came out harder than I intended. Lily's had 3 different laptops in 4 years. She's had voice lessons, art classes, tennis camp, that semester abroad in Italy. Every birthday party has been an event. Every achievement gets celebrated with gifts and dinners and social media announcements. I pulled up my banking app, showing them the statement I'd prepared. This is my account. I've been paying my own rent since I was 19, my car insurance, my phone bill, my student loans, my medical expenses, every single cost of existing. I've covered myself while working full-time and finishing my degree at night. You never ask for help, Sarah said, but her voice had no strength behind it. I asked 47 times in the last 3 years. The number was exact because I'd counted. I kept a spreadsheet. Every request, every date, every response. Would you like to see it? David's chair scraped back. This is manipulative. You're trying to make us feel guilty. I'm trying to make you see what you've refused to look at for 26 years. My hands were shaking now, adrenaline finally breaking through the calm facade. I'm trying to make you understand that your younger daughter got an $800 camera for a hobby she'll abandon in 3 months, while your older daughter couldn't get $200 for medication that might save her life. The kitchen clock ticked into the silence. Outside, a neighbor's dog barked. Normal sounds in a moment that felt anything but normal. The warning label, Sarah said finally. What did it say? That the medication has a strict time window for effectiveness. That delays can result in rapid cell development. That patients who miss the treatment window often face stage 2 diagnoses within months instead of years. I met her eyes. It said that this was my last chance to treat this the easy way. Lily stood abruptly, her chair falling backward with a crash. I don't want the camera. Sit down. David snapped, but she was already moving toward the door, tears streaming down her face. I don't want it if she needs that medicine. Take it back. I'll use my phone like everyone else. She disappeared up the stairs, her door slamming hard enough to rattle the pictures on the wall. The sound seemed to break whatever spell had held the room frozen. Why are you doing this? Sarah's voice cracked. You're tearing this family apart. I'm showing you what's already broken. My phone buzzed with a new message, but I ignored it. I'm showing you that love isn't supposed to be conditional on being the easy child. I'm showing you that care isn't supposed to run out after one kid gets her share. David had his face in his hands, and for the first time in my life, he looked old. Genuinely old and small and lost. What do you want from us? His question came out muffled. I want you to see me. Actually see me. Not the version you've decided I am. Not the dramatic daughter who exaggerates. Not the independent one who doesn't need help. Me. The real person who's been here all along, asking for the bare minimum of parental care. I stood, gathering my purse and jacket. The chicken had gone cold on all our plates, a fitting metaphor for a meal that had died before it started. The prescription is still available until tomorrow at 5. It costs $193. After that, I start a different kind of treatment that may or may not work and definitely comes with complications you don't want to hear about. I headed for the door, then paused. I'm not telling you this to manipulate you or make you feel guilty. I'm telling you because I'm done protecting you from the consequences of your choices. The drive home took 15 minutes, but I barely registered the route. My apartment was small, a studio that fit my budget and nothing else. I decorated it carefully with second-hand furniture and plants I kept alive through sheer determination. It was mine in a way my childhood bedroom had never been, free from the constant comparison to Lily's larger space with better light and newer everything. My phone had 6 missed calls by the time I walked through the door. 3 from Sarah, 2 from David, 1 from Lily. I set it on the counter and stared at it like it might explode. The messages started coming through rapid fire. Sarah asking me to come back. David saying they needed to talk. Lily begging me to let her return the camera. I made tea instead of answering. The ritual of boiling water and steeping leaves giving my hands something to do. The apartment felt too quiet, but I'd grown used to quiet. I'd grown used to being alone with my thoughts and my fears and my determination to build a life that didn't depend on parental approval. The pharmacist had been kind when I called earlier that week, explaining that they could hold the medication until Tuesday if I could secure payment by then. She'd heard the desperation in my voice and bent the rules as far as she could. I thanked her while fighting back tears, grateful for a stranger's compassion that my own parents hadn't shown. My laptop sat on the small dining table I'd rescued from a curb and refinished myself. I opened it to the job application I'd been working on before Sunday dinner. The position was in Denver, another state. Better pay, better opportunities. I'd been hesitant to apply because it meant leaving, meant admitting that home wasn't a place I could return to. The hesitation felt unnecessary now. I updated my resume, polished my cover letter, and hit submit before I could second-guess myself. The confirmation email arrived instantly, professional and impersonal. I had a better chance with strangers than I'd ever had with family. My phone rang again. Sarah. I let it go to voicemail and listened to her message with a detachment that surprised me. Sweetheart, please come back. We need to talk about this properly. Your father is very upset. Lily is crying. We can figure this out as a family. Just come home. Home. The word meant something different to her than it did to me. To her, home was the 4-bedroom house with a good school district and the manicured lawn. To me, home had always been conditional, a place where I was welcome as long as I didn't make waves or need too much or disturb the careful balance that favored my sister. I deleted the message and blocked their numbers. Not permanently, but for tonight. I needed space to breathe without their panic filling my lungs. The prescription paperwork sat on my counter, a neat stack of forms and instructions. I'd read through them so many times I'd memorized the side effects and dosage schedules. The medication was standard for precancerous cells, a hormone treatment that had high success rates when started promptly. Every day of delay decreased those rates by small but measurable percentages. I'd done the math obsessively. If I started tomorrow, my chances were 94%. If I waited a week, 89%. 2 weeks, 82%. A month, and we were looking at a coin flip with significantly worse treatment options on the wrong side of that flip. My parents had gambled with my future for a camera that would sit in Lily's closet by Christmas, gathering dust next to the keyboard she'd begged for, the telescope she'd needed for her astronomy phase, the professional art supplies that had seemed essential 6 months ago. I wasn't angry. That was the strangest part. I'd moved past anger somewhere around year 23 when I'd realized that expecting them to change was causing me more pain than their actual behavior. I'd grieved the parents I'd wanted and started dealing with the parents I had. This was just the final proof that I'd been right to lower my expectations. The tea had gone lukewarm in my distraction. I dumped it down the sink and poured a glass of water instead, forcing myself to drink the whole thing. Self-care felt mechanical sometimes, a series of actions I performed because they were necessary rather than natural. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Lily, using someone else's phone. Please talk to me. I'm so sorry. I didn't know about the medicine. I would never have accepted the camera if I knew. Please believe me. I did believe her. Lily wasn't cruel, just oblivious in the way that favored children often were. She'd never had to think about money or priorities or choices because everything had always been provided. She'd never learned to notice what wasn't given to others because her own cup had always been overflowing. I know this isn't about you. My response was honest, maybe too honest. This is about Sarah and David making choices that have nothing to do with what either of us need or deserve. 3 dots appeared and disappeared several times before her response came through. Can I help? I have birthday money saved. It's not much, but maybe, keep your money. You didn't create this problem, and you can't fix it. I hesitated, then added, but thank you for offering. The conversation ended there. I turned my phone face down and opened my banking app instead, staring at numbers I'd already memorized. My savings account held exactly $212, carefully accumulated for emergencies. This qualified, even if it meant starting over from zero again. But something stopped me from making the transfer. Some stubborn part of my psyche that refused to let my parents off the hook this easily. They needed to sit with what they'd done. They needed to feel the weight of their choice, not have me swoop in to fix everything like I always did. I fell asleep on the couch around 11, too wired to move to the bed. My dreams were fragmented and anxious, full of missed appointments and closing doors. The knocking woke me at 7 in the morning. Persistent, urgent knocking that didn't stop even when I groaned and pulled a pillow over my head. David stood on my doorstep holding an envelope. He looked like he hadn't slept, his shirt wrinkled and his eyes red-rimmed. I went to the pharmacy when they opened, he said without preamble. They said you hadn't picked up the prescription yet. They said it expires tomorrow. I took the envelope. Inside was $300 in cash, more than I needed. The extra is for whatever else you need, he continued. Copays, follow-ups, whatever. I should have asked before. I should have listened. The apology was real. I could hear it in his voice. But apologies didn't erase patterns. And one moment of clarity didn't undo years of blind favoritism. Thank you. I meant it. Even as I knew this didn't fix everything. This helps. Your mother and I stayed up all night going through your messages. All the times you asked for help. All the times we said no or ignored you or told you it wasn't important. His voice broke. We saw the spreadsheet you mentioned. We saw everything. How? I hadn't sent it to them. Lily hacked your cloud account. Don't be mad at her. She was trying to prove to us that you were telling the truth. He laughed bitterly. As if you'd lie about cancer. Precancerous cells, I corrected automatically. That's what your mother said. Like the distinction matters when we nearly let you go without treatment. He scrubbed his hands over his face. I don't know how to fix this. I don't know how to fix 26 years of getting it wrong. You probably can't, the honesty felt cruel but necessary. But you can do better going forward. You can acknowledge that you have 2 daughters who both deserve your attention and care. You can stop assuming I'm fine just because I've learned to handle things alone. He nodded slowly, looking smaller than I'd ever seen him. The job in Denver. Lily found that, too. Are you taking it? I don't know yet. They haven't even interviewed me. If you do take it, I'd understand. He met my eyes. But I hope you don't. I hope we get a chance to prove we can be the parents you needed all along. The conversation didn't end with hugs or promises of immediate change. It ended with David leaving and me standing in my doorway, holding cash that should have been offered without crisis, feeling the complicated mix of relief and resentment that came with partial victories. After David left, I did something I hadn't done in years. I cried. Not the quiet, controlled tears I'd perfected during difficult moments, but the ugly, gasping kind that left me sitting on my bathroom floor with a towel pressed against my face. All the years of being invisible, all the times I'd convinced myself it didn't matter, all the hurt I'd packed down so I could function, it all came pouring out in waves. The medication sat on my counter, a physical reminder that I'd come within 24 hours of losing my chance at easy treatment. 24 hours separated by my parents' choice to prioritize a hobby camera over my health. The proximity to disaster made me shake. I thought about calling my best friend, Jessica, again, but she'd already given me enough emotional labor for one crisis. Instead, I pulled out my journal, a battered notebook I'd kept sporadically over the years. The last entry was from 3 months ago, right after my initial doctor's appointment when they'd first mentioned the possibility of precancerous cells, waiting on biopsy results, trying not to panic. Called Sarah to talk about it, but she was busy helping Lily prepare for her college applications. Told me to text her the results when I got them. I will, but she won't respond. She never does unless it's about Lily. I'd been right. I'd texted the results. No response. The prediction had become a self-fulfilling prophecy, and I'd been so accustomed to it that I'd barely registered the sting. Flipping back further, I found entries from college. David said he couldn't help with my textbooks this semester because they just bought Lily a new violin. She's in 8th grade. How many instruments is she going to try before they stop funding her exploration phase? Another from 2 years ago. Emergency room visit cost me $800 after insurance. Asked if they could help. David said I should have been more careful. Lily crashed her car last month, her 3rd accident, and they bought her a newer, safer car the next week. Page after page documented the same pattern. My needs minimized, dismissed, or ignored. Lily's, once, elevated to emergencies requiring immediate parental response. I'd kept this record without fully acknowledging what it meant. Like a scientist documenting data without drawing conclusions, the conclusions were unavoidable. Now, my parents had fundamentally failed me while succeeding with Lily. Not through malice necessarily, but through a toxic combination of taking me for granted and being dazzled by Lily's demands for attention. My phone buzzed with a text from Sarah. Your father told me about this morning. I'm so relieved you got the medicine. Can we talk this evening? I stared at the message for 5 full minutes before responding. I need some time to process everything. I'll reach out when I'm ready. Her reply was immediate. I understand. We're here when you're ready. We love you. Love. That word had caused so much confusion over the years. They did love me. I'd never doubted that in the abstract sense. But love without action was just sentiment. And sentiment didn't pay medical bills or show up during a crisis or make someone feel valued. I spent the rest of the morning cleaning my apartment with aggressive thoroughness, channeling all the turbulent energy into scrubbing baseboards and reorganizing cabinets. Physical work helped quiet the mental noise, gave me something to control when everything else felt chaotic. Around noon, there was another knock at my door. Lily stood there holding a shoebox, her eyes red and puffy. I'm not taking the camera back, she said before I could speak. I already returned it yesterday. This is different. She thrust the shoebox at me. Inside were envelopes, dozens of them, all addressed to me at my parents' house. Birthday cards, holiday cards, graduation announcements from extended family. All unopened. I found these in Sarah's office drawer when I was looking for the account passwords, Lily said. She never gave them to you. I checked. There's money in some of them. Cards from Aunt Carol, Grandma Margaret, Uncle Mark. All intended for you. My hands trembled as I pulled out a birthday card from 3 years ago. Inside was a check for $50 from my grandmother with a note, "For my smart granddaughter. So proud of you finishing college while working full-time. Love, Grandma." I'd never received this. Never knew she'd acknowledged my graduation at all. "How much is here?" My voice came out flat. I counted about $600 total across all the cards, plus gift cards to places like Target and Amazon. Lily's voice cracked. "She kept them from you." I don't understand why, but she did. The betrayal cut deeper than the medication incident. Those had been moment-by-moment choices, arguably made in crisis without full information. This was systematic, deliberate. My mother had intercepted gifts meant for me and hidden them away, letting relatives think I'd received their generosity while keeping the evidence of their care from reaching me. "Did you ask her about this?" I managed to say. "I confronted her an hour ago. She said she was going to give them to you eventually, that she kept forgetting. But some of these are from 2-3 years ago." Lily wiped her eyes angrily. "She's lying. I don't know why she did it, but she's lying." I set the shoebox down carefully, afraid I might throw it otherwise. "Thank you for bringing these to me. That took courage." "I feel like everything I thought I knew about our family is wrong," Lily said. "Like I've been living in this bubble where everything was great and I never questioned why you were never around much or why you always seemed stressed. I just thought you were busy with your own life. That's what they wanted you to think. Easier to maintain the illusion if the scapegoat doesn't complain too loudly around the golden child." "Is that what I am?" Her face crumpled. "The golden child? Is that all I am to them?" The question made me soften. Lily was a victim of this dynamic, too, just in different ways. She'd been taught that love meant getting everything she wanted, that her needs were paramount, that other people existed to serve her happiness. Those lessons would damage her relationships and her character if they weren't unlearned. "You're their daughter just like I am, but they treated us very differently, and that's hurt both of us. You've been hurt by having unrealistic expectations set for how the world works. I've been hurt by being treated as less important." I gestured to the shoebox. "But at least you're seeing it now. That's more than a lot of people in your position would do." Lily sat down on my doorstep, and after a moment, I joined her. We sat in silence, two sisters trying to make sense of a family structure that had shaped us in opposite but equally damaging ways. "I'm going to move out," Lily said finally. "I'm 17, but I'll be 18 in 4 months. I'll get a job, find a place with roommates. I can't stay in that house knowing what I know now." "Don't make permanent decisions based on temporary emotions," I cautioned. "You're still in high school. You have college to think about. College they'll pay for while you're still paying off student loans." She laughed bitterly. "More inequality?" I never questioned. "Take the college money," I said firmly. "Don't punish yourself for their mistakes. Get your education. Build your foundation. Just do it with clear eyes about who they are and what they're capable of." We talked for another hour, Lily asking questions about incidents she'd been too young to remember or had never been told about. I gave her honest answers, watching her worldview reshape itself with each revelation. It was painful to witness, but necessary. She needed to understand the full picture, not just the sanitized version our parents had presented. I picked up the prescription that afternoon. The pharmacist who'd been so kind on the phone smiled when she saw me, genuine relief crossing her face. "I'm glad you made it in time," she said, handing over the small paper bag that held so much weight. "Start tonight and you should see the doctor in 2 weeks for follow-up." The medication was anticlimactic, just a small bottle of pills with detailed instructions. Nothing about it looked life-saving or important. Just another prescription in a brown paper bag. Walking back to my car, I passed a family in the parking lot. The mother was helping a teenager load photography equipment into their trunk while a younger child complained about being hungry. The scene was so ordinary, so unremarkable, yet it made my chest tighten. That mother was present. She was there, participating in her children's lives without ranking them against each other. I sat in my car for 20 minutes before driving home, just processing everything that had shifted in the last 18 hours. The envelope of cash sat in my passenger seat, and I kept glancing at it like it might disappear. Money had always been the visible manifestation of love in my family. Or rather, the absence of money had been the manifestation of its absence. My phone showed 7 missed calls from Lily's actual number now. She'd gotten her phone privileges back. The most recent voicemail was from her, and I played it on speaker while I drove. I made them show me everything. Her voice came through, shaky and young-sounding. All the messages you sent, all the times you asked for help. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know they were doing this to you. I thought you just didn't need them the way I did. I thought you were the strong one who had everything figured out. There was a long pause filled with traffic sounds on her end. I'm the worst sister in the world. I never even asked if you needed anything. I just took, and you were over there drowning and I never even looked. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. The message ended with what sounded like a sob. I saved it instead of deleting it. A record of the moment when Lily's worldview cracked open the same way mine had years ago. My apartment felt different when I returned. The same furniture, the same plants, the same carefully curated space I'd built from scratch. But I saw it through new eyes now. Every item represented a choice I'd made alone. A problem I'd solved without help. A victory I'd celebrated privately. This space was evidence of survival, but it was also evidence of unnecessary isolation. I'd been so focused on being independent that I'd never stopped to question why I had to be. Why should a daughter have to pay for her own medical emergencies at 23? Why should she work 2 jobs to afford textbooks while her sister got spending money for hobbies? Why should survival be an achievement instead of a baseline? The anger I thought I'd moved past came flooding back, hotter and sharper than before. I'd been proud of handling everything alone, but that pride had masked the fundamental wrongness of being forced into that position. Children weren't supposed to raise themselves. Young adults weren't supposed to navigate serious medical issues without family support. I called my best friend Jessica, someone I'd known since high school, who'd witnessed the family dynamics firsthand. They paid. She sounded shocked when I told her about David's morning visit. After I basically destroyed them at Sunday dinner. After I laid out every single time they chose Lily over me. After I made them see exactly what their favoritism almost cost. Good, Jessica's voice was fierce. They needed to see it. I've been telling you for years that their treatment of you is messed up, but you always made excuses for them. She was right. I'd spent so much energy justifying their behavior, explaining it away as busy parents who meant well, convincing myself that Lily needed more attention because she was younger. I'd been complicit in my own neglect by refusing to name it for what it was. I don't know what happens now, I admitted. Do I just accept the apology and move on? Do I keep them at arm's length? Do I give them a chance to prove they've actually changed? What do you want to happen? Jessica asked. The question caught me off guard. What did I want? I'd been so focused on survival and independence that I'd stopped considering what I actually wanted from my family relationships. I want parents who notice when I'm struggling. I want a sister I can call when things are hard. I want to stop feeling like I'm intruding when I ask for basic support. The words came slowly, pulled from a place I usually kept blocked. I want what other people seem to have without fighting for it. Then tell them that, Jessica said simply. Not in anger this time. Just tell them what you need going forward. We talked for another hour, and by the end, I felt steadier, less like I was drowning in justified rage and more like I was standing on solid ground, looking at a path forward that didn't require me to pretend everything was fine. The next morning, I drafted an email to my parents. Writing it out felt safer than a phone call. Gave me space to organize thoughts that would tangle if I tried to speak them. I appreciate the medication money and the apology, but I need you to understand that this isn't about one prescription or one camera. This is about a pattern that's existed my entire life. I need you to acknowledge that pattern, not just this single incident. I need you to commit to change, not just promise it. And I need you to understand that rebuilding trust will take time and consistent action, not grand gestures. I went on to list specific things I needed: equal financial support when either of us asked for help, attention to both daughters' achievements and struggles, acknowledgement when they fell back into old patterns, and a willingness to attend family therapy together. The email was longer than I intended, but every word felt necessary. Before I could second-guess myself, I hit send. The response came faster than expected. Sarah replied within an hour with a message that made my eyes burn. "You're right about all of it. We've scheduled the first therapy session for next Wednesday at 6. We've opened a joint account with your name on it for emergencies. We've set a weekly family dinner where everyone gets equal time to talk about their week. We're going to do better. Not perfectly, but better. Please give us that chance." David's follow-up message was shorter. "I'm reading a book about favoritism in families. Already seeing things I wish I'd understood 26 years ago. Love you, Heido." Lily's text came last. "Mom made me write down all the things I've gotten in the last year. Then she made me write down all the things you asked for in the last year. Seeing them side by side made me sick. I'm going to do better, too. Starting with actually being a sister instead of just sharing DNA." The responses should have made me happy. Instead, they made me tired, exhausted by the recognition that change was possible, but would require ongoing work, drained by the knowledge that I'd have to decide repeatedly whether to trust their efforts or protect myself from further disappointment. My phone rang while I was staring at the messages. Unknown number again, but I answered it anyway. Is this the right number for the woman who confronted her family about medical neglect? The voice was female, professional, unfamiliar. "Who is this?" I asked wearily. "My name is Dr. Evelyn Reed. I'm a family therapist, and your mother contacted me yesterday about working with your family. I wanted to reach out directly to you before our first session to understand your goals and concerns." The proactive contact surprised me. Most therapists I'd encountered waited for the actual appointment to begin assessment. "I'm not sure what my goals are yet," I admitted. "Mostly, I just want them to see me as an actual person instead of the low-maintenance daughter who doesn't need anything." "That's a solid starting point," Dr. Reed said. "Can I ask you something directly? Do you want to repair this relationship, or do you need help setting boundaries and potentially stepping back?" The blunt question cut through layers of confusion. "I don't know. Both. Neither. I want them to change, but I'm not sure I believe they can, or that I should put myself through the process of finding out." That's honest, and honesty is what we'll need to make progress. My approach is going to be direct. I'm going to ask hard questions and name patterns that have been normalized. Some families don't make it through that process. Are you prepared for the possibility that this could make things worse before they get better, or potentially end in more distance rather than less? I thought about my apartment, my job, my carefully constructed life that didn't require parental approval. I'm prepared for that. I've already built a life that works without them. If therapy helps us find something better, great. If it confirms that distance is healthier, I can live with that, too. Good. Then I'll see all of you next Wednesday. The call ended, and I felt something shift. Permission to want repair without guaranteeing forgiveness. Permission to hope for change while protecting myself if change didn't materialize. Permission to let this process unfold without controlling the outcome. Sarah called that evening. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won out. "Did you get the medicine?" Her voice was tentative, uncertain in a way I'd never heard from her. "Yes. I started tonight. Good. That's good. A pause. I returned the camera this afternoon. Lily insisted we do it immediately. We're going to put the money in a savings account for you, for emergencies, for whatever you need. You don't have to do that. Yes, we do. She sounded firmer now. We absolutely do, and we're going to do a lot more than that. I made appointments with a family therapist, all 4 of us, if you're willing. I hadn't expected that. Therapy suggested they understood this was bigger than one incident, deeper than one missed prescription. I'll think about it, I said honestly. That's all I can ask. Another pause. I love you. I know I haven't shown it the way you need it, but I do love you. Both of you equally. Love isn't just a feeling, Sarah. It's actions. It's choices. It's showing up when things are hard and paying attention when it's inconvenient. I know. Her voice cracked. I'm learning that now. I should have learned it 26 years ago. The call ended shortly after. I sat with my phone in my hand, feeling the weight of possibilities that hadn't existed yesterday. Change was possible. Maybe healing was possible. Perhaps, but it would take more than apologies and returned cameras to rebuild what had broken so thoroughly. I took the first pill with a glass of water and a sandwich, following the instructions exactly. The medication was supposed to make me slightly nauseated, might cause headaches, could trigger mood swings. I was prepared for all of it. What I wasn't prepared for was the text from Lily an hour later, a photo of the returned camera box with a receipt showing the refund. Below it, she'd written, starting over. Love you, sis. I stared at that message for a long time. Starting over. Maybe that's what all of us needed. A reset button that acknowledged the past without being trapped by it. A chance to rebuild family on a foundation of actual equity instead of unconscious favoritism. The job in Denver sent an interview request 2 days later. I scheduled it for the following week, keeping my options open. Maybe I'd take it. Maybe I'd stay. The choice was mine now, made with clear eyes instead of desperate hope. The family therapy session was scheduled for the next month. I agreed to go, not because I expected miracles, but because effort mattered. My parents were finally making an effort, and that counted for something, even if it couldn't erase everything that came before. The medication worked. 6 weeks later, follow-up tests showed the precancerous cells were responding to treatment. 3 months after that, my doctor declared me in the clear with instructions to continue regular screenings. My relationship with my parents was still complicated, still required conscious effort from everyone involved, but it was improving slowly and unevenly. They were learning to see me. I was learning to believe they wanted to. Lily and I grew closer through the process. She'd been horrified to learn the full extent of the imbalance, and she worked actively to address it. She called me weekly, remembered important dates, asked about my life with genuine interest. We were building something real. Finally, I turned down the Denver job. Not because I'd forgiven everything or because family had magically fixed itself, but because I was building something here worth staying for, something genuine and hard-won and honest. The prescription bottle sat in my medicine cabinet for months after I finished the treatment, a reminder of what could have been lost and what was saved. Sometimes I'd hold it and think about that Sunday dinner, the moment everything cracked open. I kept the cash David had given me in a separate account, untouched, not out of spite, but as a reminder that I could take care of myself if needed. Security wasn't about having parents who got everything right. Security was knowing I could survive even when they got things wrong. The spreadsheet I kept documenting all those requests and rejections eventually got deleted. Not because I wanted to forget, but because I didn't need the evidence anymore. They believed me now. They saw what they'd been missing. That was enough. Not perfect, not complete, but enough to build on. Enough to hope with, enough to stay for. Some stories don't end with dramatic reconciliations or perfect healing. Some stories end with the messy, difficult work of people trying to do better, stumbling forward together towards something that resembles health. This was one of those stories. I was okay with that. More than okay, actually, because real, sustainable change happens in the unglamorous spaces between crisis and resolution. It happens in therapy sessions, uncomfortable conversations, and daily choices to show up differently. My parents were showing up differently now. So was I. That was the real victory against all those years of invisibility, finally being seen truly and completely for exactly who I've been all along. What do you think? Is it ever too late for a family to truly change?